All right, this is a review of DC Plastics. Now what I'm doing here is I'm doing a 1980 YZ80. So we're at the point where we're going to put plastics on it, and so I thought it's a good time to do a review. So here we go. I'm not going to divulge where I bought the DC Plastics. I just want to review the quality of the plastics. Now, I'll tell you at first glance, they're packaged well. They're all individually wrapped. I've already opened up this rear fender, but what I am noticing is that this has a dull finish to it, and I'm somewhat disappointed in that. Not even close to OEM. Now they're probably the only game in town for a 1980 YZ80, so I don't want to be too critical, but that's that. And the first glance is like any Mayer or any other plastics, you've got to do your own holes, which is fine, and I'm going to go into that. And here's a side-by-side. As you can see, now I polished this. This side cover is polished in this area right here. And I brought it back, and with background, and this painted black like it's supposed to be, I could use that piece, but I don't have the rest of the pieces. I don't have the other side cover or the rear front fender, so I'm pretty stuck. But you can see the difference in the finish. So they're going on, and these were not cheap. All right, I test fit it. I had to remove the rear shock to get it through there. And the first thing you have to do is you've got to drill the hole. There's a pin here, just so that you can get it up in there and get it aligned. So let's get that drilled. And what I do is I basically do it by hand. And I'm doing that because I don't need to have the drill. And it helps just to, do a little at a time. And I'll fit this back in here. And so like that, and like so. Yeah, see, that's still not big enough. Still not a big enough hole there. So I'll drill that out a little bit more. Now the old fender, you can see how this works. There's a rubber ground that goes in there, and that just kind of pushes in. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get that option with this, so we'll just get it in here. Just so we can get this kind of set up. And these holes here are probably the most important holes. And what I want to do is put the pin back in the shock so that it's in its proper spot. And I can always move this hole, I can always enlarge it, move it, whatever. This isn't real important. I don't want the shock hitting this plastic. All right, with the shock in place, I can set that, and I feel relatively good about the clearance here. And make sure so what I'm going to do is I've got this pressed up real nice here. I like the way this is fitting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the hole for this third bolt and this bolt over here. So I drilled the hole and I mounted this here, and this is going to allow me to set up for this hole here. I had another mark, and when I tightened up this bolt down here, I'm glad I didn't drill the hole. So there's where I'm going to drill the next hole. I've got that tightened up. Now what's most important to me is the angle of the fender. Before I do this, this can move around a lot, and I want that thing straight, so it actually right about there is good. And that means this is going to have to come down a little. So I'll do that without having to hold this camera. And there's the rear fender. And I'm going to figure something out here. But basically, it's on. Looks good. And you can see that like the hump is perfect, and then this is like a little wider here, or it's bent down. It's more like the fender. I just kind of split the difference, but there it is, and that's on there good. So there's the rear fender. So far so good. So we're going to get one screw in here, and then we're going to I'm going to tighten that screw up, and then we're going to center this to get the second front screw, and then work to the back. I lined it up, and then through the top I marked it with a little bit of grease on the end of a small, ultra small screwdriver. And now I'll just tighten it up and mark the back two holes. And there they are. The front two are tight, and I'm going to get the back two. Then I'm going to go a step size larger on the drill so that I can put in the factory washers, which actually kind of countersink into the plastic. You can see how they go up into the fender itself, and so that hole needs to be as big as this washer is, the small part of it right here. And what I'm going to do is, it's a little tough to get in here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shine a light in, and I should be able to pick up that hole pretty easy. There it is. Mark that hole, and then mark the other one. It's always a good idea to do these holes as small as you can at first, because you're inevitably going to not hit the spots. Now, this one needs to go over, and this one needs to go over, so they're kind of pinched. This one needs to come up here. Anyway, I'm going to mark where they need to go, and because I need to go bigger to allow for these countersinking washers, I'm plenty okay. These two are perfect. I'm going to make my adjustment on these when I drill for the washer size. And there it is, all snugged up. Got all the washers on it. Looking good. Moving on to the side covers. This one's not too bad. I mean, you can see the deformed plastic here. Now, I'm being really critical because I do these. I try to make these things look brand new. So I'm kind of picky. But this is for a rubber grommet, as you can see on the old one here. There's a rubber grommet here and a rubber grommet there. That's going to rest against the exhaust, so that goes here. So I had to drill these holes, and basically I set this one first, and I got it where I like it. The seat is going to hold this just like that. So this one went together pretty good. This one's going to be an issue. As you can see, this is the back, and this is the back of the stock one. It actually makes the air box. It's got a little lip that goes around, and it seats right here in the air box, right in this little groove. Now, that's not really a big deal because the air filter element's here, but I mean, I just think they could have done a better job I mean, if this was a $69 pair of plastics, I could see it, but it's way over 200. So I've got to set this in here, and I've got to make sure that this will go into this hole, and then this is sighted properly here, and that these three line up with the hole behind it. And it's not exactly going to make it. So I'm going to fiddle with this and see how close I can get it. This is the best I could do. Get this one to line up, and to get this one to line up. There is no way getting this to line up. I've fudged all these holes, and this is still down here. This is really where the hole needs to go now. That to me is just not really acceptable. I mean, it just, and we're all the way over here and barely catching for the seat bolt. And I don't know how long this little piece right here is going to last. Probably not going to be a problem, but you know, this is not lined up visually. Now the seat's going to come in here, and it's going to probably come right on down and cover all this up, and it's going to look okay. So to kind of sum it all up with the DC Plastics, I would do everything possible to try and get your OEM plastics back. And if you're missing one, try and find one. I mean, I spent hours and hours to get this shine here, and I left this because this is going to be a black number plate background. I got this shiny up here. This is taped off, and it's black right down here. All this is black. So I am probably going to use this side cover because I'm practically there already. The rear fender, I'm just going to go with I've got these plastics. Who knows? I may even just go ahead and put the black background on this and put the 80 on it, paint that. I don't know. I'm going to have to do something. I'm probably going to have to get a blind nut to go in here. This literally, the hole is right here. The hole should be right about here to catch it. And in reality, this whole thing should go over about half an inch or so, maybe. So all in all, if you just don't have any plastics, this is really the only game in town that I could find. So there you have it, the DC Plastics. I gotta say, I would prefer, Mayer does a little bit better job. Their shine is shiny. Here's one I did with the Mayer Plastics. It's got a shine to it. And this front fender is a Mayer. That's fiberglass painted. And this 200X, this one is all Mayer, front and back. And there again, like I say, you can really see a shine, and I think it's a different type of plastic altogether. This is a 250R that I'm about ready to tear all the way down. I got it pretty much all running. I got it all rebuilt as far as the rear end and front end and brakes and so forth. So the DC Plastics is, I'd say I'd give it a 7 out of 10. So there you have it, the DC Plastics on a 1980 YZ80. Thanks for watching.